All right, so heaps of people on Instagram wanted me to do some cooking videos, so I thought I'd whip up some chimichurri while I talk about some of the lifestyle changes I've been making lately. Chimichurri is just like this amazing tasting sauce. I really like having it with cheap cuts of steak. It just makes it taste amazing. But it goes well with any protein, like especially fish. You could probably just make a few variations of it. Like you can use lemon juice instead of things like red wine vinegar. I think a lot of people play around with the acid depending on the protein or just due to preference or whatever. So anyway, the way I like to do it, we've got flat leaf parsley, we've got some bird's eye chilies, garlic. Again, try to use fresh chili and fresh garlic because it does make a difference. A little bit of oregano, salt and pepper, then olive oil. And then like I said, our acid is red wine vinegar. All right, so first thing we have to do is like de-stem all this parsley. It's a little bit tedious and like some people don't mind if there's a bit of stem in there, but I like it to be as leafy as possible. All right, so a little bit of context. I had a really shit year of training. I went on a lot of surf trips, even though I had a lot of fitness goals this year. Like I did say that my primary goal in 2024 was to do a lot of traveling and surfing, and I definitely accomplished that, but I publicly declared a lot of fitness goals that I embarrassingly missed by like just a country mile. And that was the thing, even when I was at home and I did have opportunities to train, like it was quite a hectic year personally and then work-wise as well. There was a lot to do on the business. And I just kind of I let anything get in the way of training. And like the thing is, I'm 32, turning 33 this year. I'm in my prime. You know, if there's gonna be a time where I should lock in on my training, it's kind of now. So anyway, towards the end of the year, got a lot of the work stuff sorted, and in the new year, I made an effort to go full tilt back into training and actually commit to it properly. But then I got a little bit too excited and injured myself in the first couple of weeks of throwing myself back into training. And I spent the better part of the last couple of months just like rehabbing my shoulder, which typically a shoulder injury wouldn't affect training the rest of your body so much. But like even with my typical lower body lifts, like I couldn't put a bar across my back. I couldn't even get into the pendulum squat or anything like that. Like that was too much for the shoulder. Couldn't hold dumbbells or anything like that. Obviously upper body training was really, really limited. I was doing what I can, but sort of just all the excitement I had about actually locking in with training this year and making it a primary focus again, and then just going into a rut like that, it was really annoying. Anyway, so I'm fully recovered from that now, or basically about, I would say, 2.5 weeks ago is when I was actually able to train for the first time and like completely uninhibited by the shoulder, or like relatively speaking. And I don't know what my expectations were for just like locking back in with training for 1 week, but I was a little bit disappointed with my body's response to it. So I just thought to myself, what if I actually just, fully lock in like lifestyle wise? I've always been like a fit, healthy, active person. Like I don't like to party too much. A lot of the ways I socialize is like going surfing with mates, staying fit, going outdoors, also training in the gym. I've never really given a shit about nutrition, but I've always been naturally lean. And like I said, I've got a pretty high activity level and a fast metabolism, so I've never stressed about it that much. I'm also a massive night owl. I don't really have a schedule. I can do most of my work whenever I want. And that sort of leads to a lot of late nights. Like that's when I feel the most creative, when my brain's working the best. So usually I'll have my leisure time earlier in the day and then get into work mode sort of as the sun's going down. And I wasn't really sleeping in either. Like I like to wake up early and go for a surf or to go train or something like that to start my day. So I ended up making up the difference by doing a lot of napping throughout the day. Like pretty much every single day, I would have at least an hour nap at some point. There was some consistency with the wake up time, but just like no consistency with the bedtime. It's very normal for me to be up past 2 a.m. Sometimes I will get in bed like a little bit after midnight, but me being in bed before midnight is like a weird occasion. And I guess due to like just, my natural tendencies and the fact that I do run a pretty successful business and, I am a pretty healthy person, I never really questioned the impact of my sleep schedule. Like I know sleep's important, everyone talks about it. But yeah, it was just, there's never been any sort of consistency there. I was also just doing some reflecting about a month ago, and I asked myself if I was looking at myself from an outsider's perspective, would I say that I take really good care of myself? Like I don't really. Like I am a pretty healthy person. I don't treat myself like complete shit, but I definitely don't like I said, just like basic sleep and nutrition sort of stuff. And yeah, so that's my version of locking in. It's no crazy shit like 75 hard or anything like that. I'm just trying to take care of myself. So yeah, the first thing I sorted out is I have to be in bed before midnight. And so I'm in week 3 now, but in a lot of week 2, I was even getting to bed before 11 p.m. And honestly, this is something I was willing to commit to for a while. Like, you know, I've decided to be process oriented about this, but like the results were pretty much immediate. Yeah, it just felt like fucking amazing immediately. Didn't feel the need to nap or anything like that, just getting the full 8 hours sleep, or I was in bed for at least 7 to 8 hours like the whole time. I've been really consistent with it. A few times probably even got up to like 8.5 hours in bed, but I know like the whole thing is about trying to build routines, so I will be trying to get sort of like a precise 8 to 8.5 hours going over the next few weeks. You know, I'm just still trying to coach myself through it, you know, not trying to pull any like massive overhauls in one go. Okay, so once you've de-stemmed all your parsley, then you just want to chop it up nice and fine. I mean, obviously that's a little bit of a preference thing as well. You can do it a little bit more rustic or coarse, but I like it fairly finely chopped. So you want a big knife to do that. And then you just kind of go like this over and over and over again. And then you like sweep it back into a pile. Maybe try to shuffle a few of the unchopped ones that you missed back to the top and hit it from like a different angle. And then you just repeat that process until it's chopped up enough for your taste. All right, and then just put that aside in a bowl. Don't ask me about any of the ratios. You're just gonna like look at this and then do it by feel yourself. You can like taste things along the way. It shouldn't taste bad at any point, so just trust your mouth. Oh, I'll give you a rough cut. It's like a bunch of parsley, just like the bunches that the supermarkets sell. Like 3 bird's eye chilies is sort of what I use. I like 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 cloves. I like a lot of garlic. You don't have to do that. But yeah, then that's your next step. You gotta chop up your fresh chili and your garlic. Or I actually like to like almost use like a microplane or a grater on the garlic, but then I just dice up the chili. Big bits of garlic and big bits of chili will kind of ruin the vibe of it. Oh, honestly, it's hard to mess this up, but yeah, I prefer like these things more finely chopped. All right, these are pretty tiny cloves, so I'm just gonna go 4. Okay, and so in the first week, my only nutritional goal was just to eat breakfast. So my issue is I've just been losing weight lately. You know, my fighting weight is about like 80 kilos, whereas I sort of dipped down to like 76 kilos. And yeah, it's just sort of the day getting away from me. I know I don't do a lot of work in the AM, but it's pretty normal for me to hit the gym or something like that, or just get a surf in, like do 2 sessions, make some content as well. And then before you know, it's like 3 p.m. and I haven't eaten. And even just by making the change of eating breakfast, I've also noticed that I'm skipping lunch way less. I guess it's just like getting into the habit of eating regularly. Also had a great chat with Stan Efferding this week. So he was our guest on the High Performance podcast, and he got me all G'd up to try the Greek yogurt and orange juice, which tastes amazing. I've also been putting squirts of honey in it, not because it needs it for flavour, but just because I want to get extra calories in. And my body weight's also already tracking up nicely. I don't think I really need to worry about tracking protein because honestly, I like eating meat. So I just think as long as I focus on eating regularly, I'll probably hit 2 grams per kilo of body weight anyway. I should probably track for a couple of days just to make sure. I'll get to that at some point. But again, like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm hitting my protein, if anything, as long as I eat enough. But yeah, the orange juice and Greek yogurt, I've been absolutely loving it. Like I've been getting an easy 1,000 calories out of it every single day. I was just ranting for ages and I went through a couple of steps and I forgot that I wasn't filming. So we finished chopping up our chili and then we grated our garlic into it. Again, you can dice up the garlic if you want, but it's just, I like it to be pretty fine. So it's just easy to use. Like, it's not a cheese grater, it's just a little zester thing. But then just dicing the chili super fine. 2 to 3 chilies, 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, depending on size. And then the other thing we did, we added the vinegar first, just a little bit of it. Think about it as a ratio. It sort of feels like 1 part this to 4 parts this. But you got to think about the overall texture of the thing. So you just add a splash of this first, and then you get it to about the consistency you want it with the oil, and then you do your first taste, and then you decide if you need more acid or vinegar in it or not. You just want it to taste however you like it, but if you want it more acidic or tangier or not. If you add too much of this at the start, and then you have to like add too much oil to dilute it, then you just end up with a really runny chimichurri, and I sort of like it almost like a salsa consistency. I'll hold it up to the camera in a second. I don't want it to come out, but that's sort of, it's not super like I wouldn't call it like runny. The other thing I'm doing is I am doing a basic supplement routine, so nothing crazy, just taking a multivitamin, fish oil, some vitamin D, and some creatine. Again, just because they tend to be the most research-backed and recommended supplements. And honestly, with the creatine thing, like, I was bought into it, but I just thought that because I like red meat, that I was getting enough creatine, like the equivalent of like 5 to 10 grams a day supplemented just by eating red meat like every single day, basically. But then when I actually looked into one, just like taking, you know, higher doses of creatine, and then the positive effects that some people talk about of that, and the anecdotal ones as well. But then also just even the amount of red meat that you have to consume to get the equivalent of 5 to 10 grams a day of creatine supplemented. It's a ridiculous amount of red meat, and I'm definitely not getting anywhere close to that. I was probably getting like fucking max 2 grams of creatine a day or something like that. Anyway, so going to be taking that basic supplement stack, so that should fill in any nutritional deficiencies or anything, just anything that I might be missing, a bit of a safeguard there. But then yeah, on top of that, just actually eating breakfast, and then just making sure that I'm prepping more food in bulk and stuff like that. The other thing that's made a huge difference now is I'm just starting work first thing in the morning, or the only thing I'm allowed to do before starting work instead of just leaving it for later in the day just because I can, and apparently that's when I feel more creative. Again, that was probably just because my sleep schedule was so fucked. Whereas now that I've got consistent sleep, like I feel like my brain's working a bit better in the first part of the day, so I can do all my work then, and then it just leads to like being able to wind down later in the day, which has actually been a really nice change. Like, again, it's awesome. I really love my lifestyle anyway, but leaving all the work for the later part of the day and then just like passing out at the end of the night versus just like waking up feeling good, maybe getting a surf in or something like that, but starting my work a lot earlier and then being able to wind down towards the back end of the day. I'm sure that's been a big factor in what's allowed me to get to sleep earlier. Again, a lot of people have been talking about this and these changes in my personal life. They've been asking me like, oh, you're having trouble getting to sleep earlier? And not really, because I think I'm just establishing a bit more of a routine and just not having to work. Well, basically I was just like working late until I passed out, I guess, before. Whereas now I'm just like getting the work done and then I can like wind down, so it's sort of easy to get to sleep. So yeah, I know it's only been like 2.5 weeks, but I don't feel like this is going to be a hard habit to keep up or anything like that, because it just made me feel so much better immediately. Like, I'm kind of embarrassed that I wasn't doing this stuff before, but I guess that's why I'm talking about it. Like, you know, just have a think to yourself. If you were looking at yourself from an outsider's perspective, could you honestly say that you take really good care of yourself? Especially if you're someone like me where like you have a generally healthy lifestyle and stuff like that, but you've never really locked in, and maybe you're getting into your late 20s or your early 30s or something like that. And I don't know, I feel like it's probably time to start taking some of that stuff more seriously. The other thing that I wanted to announce is I am opening up my one-to-one coaching books again. So if you want to get more generally physically prepared, or if you have a specific goal that you want some strength and conditioning for, fill out the form down in the description and I'll be in contact with you this week. And so yeah, that's sort of what I'm working on at the moment and how to make chimichurri. I'll see you in a couple of days with another video.